getting too old for this shit.
I think it's out of order.
Living here and working at that restaurant, you don't have to do that.
那你是愿意的，还是不愿意？
你要真放不下我，就娶我吧。
我就不能娶讲过我的女人。
你可以为爱而生，你不可为恨而死。
Di ko nakikita na majalep. Chowa mini hanang sinsirin da pesi yo stigma.
为啥人那当时的常说是，也能上面到，也看到也往了，所以他们是那个。
长矛与枪无缘。
你是做大事儿的，
做大事的人，都想好好睡一觉。
等天亮我陪着你。
And I still do what I was told. Don't go anywhere. Don't talk to anyone. Where is Green Canyon? I want to go there.
Nam kega choni kiri nam kegi sumi 제게죠. 니 메긴 폴루기 지탐 kegi sumi 제게죠. 준비 담기 림바르 좀 kegi sumi 제게죠. 원경 다기 지탐 동원이让大家不肯旅行。 Itu kutub syuta. Itu siapa tunggu dia? Kerja ini aku ya.
人为什么不能活100年？
这座城市会活100年、1000年，我们都会死。 但你得活着。
This is the beach.
I would like to go there.
Hello. Test. I'm Lianne. So happy to be
I'm Andrzej.
Thank you so much for coming today. And thank you for having me at this film festival. It's my first time in Poland, and certainly first time at this film festival. I love the film festival so far. It's such a privilege, even to meet everyone here in this room, to talk about our project, to have intimate conversation with the greatest Andrzej Bartkowiak. And I am also, very, very blessed to work with another great Polish cinematographer, Andrzej Sakula, the other Andrzej, on a lot of Shanghai 1 and 2, which you saw some clips. And recently, just last week, we saw a beautiful film shot by another Polish cinematographer, Łukasz. I try to speak like Polish pronunciation, Łukasz Zhao. And we also had a nice conversation with Chloe Zhao. And she also mentioned about to start very early collaboration with her DP, Łukasz. They went to sing in Wales, and then they found that cave. That actually is the birth of the imageries for their film. And she even joked. She says, once you put Chinese and Polish together, they make great films. So what I wanted to say is I feel extremely blessed to have this moment to share our experience with you, to spend this time together, and also to have this opportunity to work with Andrzej. And I have been in front of the camera and behind the camera as actress, producer, developed film projects. Storytelling is always in the center of my pursuit. But stepping into a director's chair is my first time. And the script Red Cactus also is written by me. Although I was surrounded by directors, I was raised in a theatrical environment. I was born and raised in Shanghai. My father was a director, stage director. My mother was a stage actress, although they spin off also to do TV and films. But stage, theater is their core of their pursuing. And then my two brothers are film directors, so I had worked as producer's capacity for their projects. Nevertheless, I did not plan for being a director myself because I was surrounded by directors. But once I have written Red Cactus, the more I dive in. Of course, over the last couple of years, the project evolves, has its own organic breathing life. And I realized perhaps I should give it a try. And with that said, to be able to work with Andrzej, who has such a vast body of work and worked with some of the greatest film directors, I feel extremely blessed, incredibly grateful to Andrzej. So I'm gonna turn this to Andrzej.
This is such a great festival. You know, Marek, I must say thank you, Marek, for having this festival. He created it 33 years ago, and I've been coming for many years. Last few years, of course, pandemic, and it stopped me, and it's so nice to be back. So I'm grateful. Thank you, Marek, for that. And the script, when I read it, it was such a deep and incredible script. And we start talking about it, and Lianne says, "Would you shoot it for me?" I said, "Sure, we will do it." But of course, I said, you know, script needs a little work, not from creative point, but from putting into the screen, and that's how a conversation started.
So we started working probably 2-3 months ago when I first finished writing. And I would say probably you can say that's called pre-production, the dialogue, the exchange between the director and cinematographer. But one thing, before we rush into talk about color palettes, mood board, where we're gonna shoot this, we actually spent quite a bit of time to dive into the script itself. And of course, working with Andrzej is not working with another writer or another person just looking at the script itself. His notes is so much also driven by how this is gonna be look visually onto screen and how we're gonna actually transition from page to page, scene to scene. And he said, my God, I think you need to put more transition in there between scene to scene. We're not gonna cut. It's gonna be look like little TV. At first, I got a little offended, to be honest. I'm like, I'm not writing a TV. This is a film. It's all in my head. It's image. He said, look. And then he gave me some examples. He made notes on final draft, which you can track into which scene to scene, was very specific. So our dialogue started with that very specific transitions from page to page and how to nurture from that visual sense, bring the content. And then, of course, in the last couple of months, we also had different phase of diving into script, including table read. We invited actors, not cast actors, actors in my network and association, and we read through the script. We also had another session, just have one person to read through. And then we have session just between us. I'm reading through portion of the script, and Andrzej did too, to really hear it, the rhythm, where could be improved. Any comments?
It's not about improving. You know, there is every material needs a certain look. You know, I read a script and it felt very poetic and very kind of esoteric and deep. And I say, you know, we cannot look like a action movie or a drama. You know, there is drama in it, but there is a lot of poetry. So, you know, I work over the years with different, I was so lucky, directors, and of course, everyone has his own way of working. But the most I learned was from Sidney Lumet about how to prep the film. And that's what we did on all the Sidney's movies. They evolve in a prep. So I told Lianne, I said, listen, let's just go through it. and let's figure out, because of course, you don't want to figure out on a day. So let's set it up, the look, the transitions, where we want to shoot it, and so that was the main thing for me, to get ready before we ever get any further. And I think that watching a lot of film today, I see some issues. And in this actually festival years ago, we did when the digital camera came up, Keanu came and he was doing this film side by side. And the film was, you can watch it, is available. And he, of course, interviewed a lot of directors, DPs, and everybody was in the festival here. And most interesting thing, because the question is, well, now everybody can make a movie. It's cheap. Now we can grab it, make it. And Lorenzo Bonaventura, who was the head of Warner Brothers, my favorite line in the movies. So now who is going to be the tastemaker? And you can see how true the line was. I'm sitting films and I said, I can't believe people doing, they're like trying to reinvent the wheel. To me, you learn from classics, from history. We have to watch it, and I see a lot of kids don't see it. So I'm just telling everybody, guys, do diligence, watch old movies, old classics, because that's how you get better. Anyway, I said same thing to her, and I said let's start it to make it right.
Yes, let's make it right. So maybe we can project first.
Well, you can start about transition. Why don't you tell a little bit about a couple of scenes?
Okay.
Why don't you?
We can put the first scene on.
No, they have to do that.
Oh, they have to do it. Yeah. Okay. So before I'm going to a bit of example how we actually make some changes on transition on the script, I just wanted to share a little bit about what is Red Cactus. So Red Cactus, it is the story follows 3 intertwined lives onto a path from homelessness to find home across 2 continents, specifically from Sevilla to Madrid to Los Angeles. If we dive in a little bit even more, story plot is a aspiring singer newly arrived in Los Angeles, formed an unexpected bond with a life coach. They embarked on a truth-seeking journey through loss, betrayal, survival, and rediscovering of their raw self, the essence of life, and how we mean to connect with each other. With that said, certainly there's a lot of emotional depth, and I envisioned this is a plot that would resonate with many of us right now. We're living through a time, we're busy, we're always with people, or you're always with your social media, tablets, phones. But I think we all have this yearning to truly connect with each other, whether it's your neighbor, whether it's your colleague, whether it's partners or your lovers. And in the end, I think no matter how your external environment has changed, or how your vehicle can be, you have to find yourself first. You have to honor who are you, to be and not to be, right? What we mean to do, how you see yourself. And with that said, I think certainly we have to be vulnerable. We have to honor who we are in the end to be able to really, truly connect with another person. So with that said, I remember as soon as Andrzej finished reading, he said he read twice, back to back. And then he called me, he said, Lianne, this is a love letter, isn't it? It's a love letter. And I was very touched because I didn't really summarize in that light. But I think he captured the essence. It is a love letter, but somehow this letter just not only to send to your lover, I think that's also a letter you send to yourself. And with that said, part of this film are so embedded with day-to-day routine, life, but at the same time, it's a dream. It is a visual portrait in my mind. There's certain fluidity in it. There is ambiguity in it. There is mystery in it. There is unknown we're trying to discover all the time, day to day, because even we live another day, we probably have the same routine, but your everyday experience, what that shines on your day yourself is different. You can walk in the same coffee shop today, but tomorrow you might feel differently, and you will ask yourself why. Because your relationship with your external factors will evolve. You are evolve differently every day. So there's a little bit reality, little bit fantasy, little bit dream. And I'm so pleased over the time in the last couple of months when I work with Andrzej. Certainly the pre-production phase is to really work with your key collaborators to shape up the film to really find the soul. Because pre-production is that moment you have. The early you can involve with your key collaborators, the better, because that is a time you can find the soul from your project to understand the DNA of the project and that how to translate to a blueprint. And with that blueprint, you can build a plan in your pre-production. The real official pre-production, of course, you can execute eventually during the production. So I think over time, the deeper conversation we have, the more specific things we did together, we also understand so much more as each other's DNA, not just project, because you start to understand how you think, how you communicate, how you wanted to collaborate. And that's why I come back to this subject tonight is it is essential to have this time, ample time you give yourself, if you're lucky enough to work with your key creatives early as possible. And when I worked with other productions, sometimes, I realized I wish I had more time. Have more time given the director to work with the key creatives. Because that's when you set up tone, and then you can avoid so many things later during the production, things you didn't know better, things you still trying to mold each other, calibrate, nurturing. And therefore, when I have this opportunity to work on a project, I want to be director, I said, I have to start early this process. And here we are. So without further ado, I wanted to give example of when Andrzej shared their transition. I need to put it into the script more. I need to be mindful versus scene-to-scene jump. I wanted to give example of one of the pages I did. I can, so this is the beginning of the scene when we first introduce the lead character. And so originally I wrote, zoom in, Kalia is one of the characters' name. Kalia's eyes, full frame, still reflective, searching. And zoom out, Kalia's POV, which is the Pacific stretch before her, quiet power, timeless, and then blackout to sound of a rain, loud, powerful, to the next scene, which is Kalia's office. Then Andrzej's notes was very specific. You said, let's do sound of a rain pre-lap on the sounder. Now we cut to Kalia's face now, right? Shadow of raindrops. And also you mentioned earlier, you said, we will push into her eyes, we will see reflection of the ocean. The shell will keep pushing to us to see nothing except we're immersed in the ocean. So with that notes, I incorporate his suggestion. So now the page read like this. We push into Kalia's eyes until they feel the frame. Reflected in them is the ocean, unsettled waves washing onto the shore. And then Kalia's POV, the boundless Pacific stretches before her, glittering and immense. It tunes with quiet power, timeless, indifferent, eternal. Pre-lap, sound of thunder, it slowly overlaps into sound of rain, still loud, powerful. And then jump to next scene is Kalia's office header. Shadow of raindrops washes over Kalia's face. She wears light makeup, but her red lipstick pops. The sound of rain continues, slowly fades lighter. And Kalia sits near a large window. She is mesmerized by the powerful rain. So with those subtle changes, I think it really gave us so much room later to do coverage. Then we can work through the editing and bring the next thing naturally. That transition, I think, really, really helped to move the story forward versus cut and cut. Not involved with image, involved with sound. What do you think?
I didn't invent it, of course, I learned over the years working, but I worked with some great directors. And there is, there's not the right way or wrong way to do anything. Because, for example, Sidney Lumet, we would probably spend a year getting movie ready. First, me and him and production designer would go and find locations that were right for the story. And then, of course, we go back, and then we will go with viewfinder and kind of storyboard it, but not really, no pictures, just a writing the notes. It'd be 75 millimeter, there'll be 50, there'll be 20, 18, whatever. And so that's the way I learned a lot from that. And of course, Sidney was an actress director, and he was started as a child actor. And so him performance was everything. And he wanted to give actors best way to perform. So what we would do is, over the time, he would mark. We would go to the stage and mark exactly to the scale every location there was. And one of the things that Sidney was he in his mind, he had a vision where he wanted his actors to be. So pretty much when we scouted and when we make notes, we knew when let's say Paul Newman, where he's going to stand, or Michael Caine, whoever. So there was. Then on the rehearsals, we'd have at least 3 rehearsals with actors every day, 8 hours. And first day actors usually bring the pages. Sidney requested everybody knew the script. So we will go on the stage from floor plan to floor plan to floor plan. And by the maybe second week, we run the movie through. And of course, he always said, don't go fully out, just feel it, feel each other. And, eventually, when we went to the set, we did it exactly, and then the first take was it. He said, now go fully out, perform, that was it. It was a great way, but not many people have money to do these days and to have a 3 weeks rehearsal. So, of course, another way, John Huston surprised me. Of course, we found the locations. His ways was he would send his actors in the morning to the room, and he said, call me when they're ready. So they would, for about till noon, they would work out the scene and scenes for the day, and then he would go for about half an hour and then call me. And I come with a viewfinder and find the shots. So I said, everybody has a different way of working. But preparation was always the most important thing. So to all you guys, I say, get ready, get ready, get ready. And with a script, because sometimes you can, of course, good things happen on the set and good accidents, but unless you know what you're doing exactly, you'll be in trouble. So I'm here to help, and of course, the only way I know it because I lived through it with many people, and here we are.
So our conversation also involved with visually how we set the tone, of course. And as Andrzej interpret, this is a love letter. And in my mind, that cannot be more accurate. There's the feel of dream. There's also fantasy in your mind. Everyone lives in their images of imagination. And how that translates from pages, that poetic feel, to screen, we certainly talk about specific ways to deliver that, and how we create that, the fluidity, and visual language, color palettes, mood. And one thing I wanted to also mention, the title, Red Cactus, red. Red certainly is a very bold color. And the other elements, which is in alignment, flamenco. So the location, which I already mentioned, it travels with a character from Sevilla to Madrid to LA. And one of the reasons why Sevilla, because flamenco. When I think of flamenco, it is red. It's bold, it's strong, it's captivating your eye, your heart, your emotions. So when we think about red, it's absolute. It's almost deviate, opposite with dream. Because dream, we're thinking about pale, transparent, white, gray, flowing, right? So I actually, had special dialogue with Andrzej just about that. How we capture something so absolute and so detailed, red color in the film, while we're not in any deviation from the state of a dream and the poetic feel. I want to have Andrzej to elaborate that.
It's a script is poetic and doesn't tell you really much, but there's a lot of, you think it's a real and you realize is a thought, is a dream. And we go back to real. I said, audience cannot be confused because sometimes I see the movies and goes back and forth in time and looks exactly the same. So I think over the years it's been done and it's people forgetting about it, but you can make white, different white. We do white shirt and you can dip it up in a tea and take it. So in a dream, you could have a white that is dipped in tea. You can have a red that is dipped in tea. So it's not as intense. So it's still red. Then, of course, we have a filtration. There's a lot of filters these days, that are magnificent. When I was, my days, we didn't have that opportunity. Now there is clearly a tremendous amount of filters that will help that. So I'm saying, so this is, but another thing, lenses. There's a lot of different companies, different lenses, and they all will make it different. So you can also change for certain things from company to company. It doesn't have to stay exactly the same. You can change it. But one of the things I feel that the movie needed is two-time anamorphic, because naturally everything is soft and poetic, and you only have a sharpness, whatever you want to see. So I told Lianne that I feel this is anamorphic movie for that reason. And so you can bring your focus where you want it to bring, and everything else is just flowing in Cézanne painting, soft and dreamy. So, there was to me, there was a lot of tools we have now. I said, so with the filtration is, you guys have a lot of help now. So that's one of the things that we'll be planning. Another advantage that now we have, it's apps like the Artemis. I think is really a great app, and we actually gonna show it because now you can storyboard exactly. You can put input over the camera, the lenses, and you take it accurate. So it's everybody on the stage. You basically do storyboard with Artemis, and when what I do on the movies, and I print it, on the 4x8 pictures. Everybody know exactly which way the camera will be looking, what we'll be doing, what do we have to dress, what not to dress, what's going to be in, what's going to be out. So that saves a lot of time and money and time. So I'm kind of giving this all to Lianne because she didn't know about it. And I don't think everybody using it, but also it also integrates with another app, Artemis, with Helios, which gives you exactly time of sun position and the time of the year. So you take a picture, you know where the sun is going to be now or 3 years from now. So you can plan your day, schedule what kind of light, backlight, front, this, low. So it's incredible help that it's available for all of you guys.
With that said, maybe we should show how you utilize the app,
yeah.
Right?
So, so one of the things that we always did with Sydney, and I said, let's just drive around and just feel the location, they feel right for the film. Because, there is a lot of beach is a beach, but it's not always the same beach. It depends where you go. So we did a little bit of driving, and of course we knew we're coming here, so we also took pictures to talk about it. So it's not we didn't do any scout. It was just maybe a couple of hours of driving. So we're going to show you for the film, like locations, what we have in mind and why we taking certain locations are more correct for the story and certain are not. So.
So for location scale, we actually took parts and driving through Malibu because that's where scenes gonna take place. Hollywood night streets, and also in West Hollywood night streets, and then one of the characters' apartment in West Hollywood. Yeah, but we now need to look into the. Let's do the Malibu first. So,
guys, can we blow the picture up like we did in rehearsal?
So they're seeing some return of character driving on PCH, which is a Pacific Coast highway, and then driving into Malibu Canyon.
See, this is with the app Artemis. It tells you what how a camera would look, how the lenses would look. This is very accurate. So when you actually come to shoot, you put the camera and the lens will be exactly same size. Of course, the look won't be the same, but you have exactly same. I mean, absolutely 100%. Nick Cannon, who designed this app, he worked for a very long time and he really got it perfect.
So maybe we can just go through this. Let's go. Yeah, so that is a street going to Malibu Canyon. Continue on. And then we land in Mulholland Drive. I'm just a body double because we didn't bring actor in yet. So, and we can see a glimpse of ocean.
Because we're going to the ocean.
Yeah. And now we going to the ocean. Well, knowing LA geographically, ocean plays a big part. Certainly, it appears in the film several times. And then onto sunset. Technical difficulty. It was there. I don't know. It's Malibu Canyon. Yeah.
No, I need a website.
I don't know.
Guys, we're having a little technical difficulty here.
Maybe the tech can help us.
No, I need a Wi-Fi here.
Oh, we need a Wi-Fi here.
What's the Wi-Fi here? Które mamy Wi-Fi, proszę? Który?
Well, that happens.
This? Yeah.
Here we go. So while Andres figured out the tech thing, so we did the drive-through from PCH to Malibu, and then the lighting, what we have the day is very much aligned with the script. There's a day transition to sunset time and the sunset. And then this is a very early stage of exploring possibilities. So specifically for what written in the script, certainly I wanted to make a note, this is not really the eventual location scout with location manager, with the other key creatives. This is between us, me, and Andre to see what's possible. So we have a general direction. And then even later, if we shoot only plates versus shoot itself, that will give us an idea and the Bible to follow through.
Now, this is exactly the beach. We talk about beach, not of the beach. The reason that we have here jagged edges, because it's not a beautiful Caribbean beach. We want to have characters have a lot of conflict and issues. So we wanted to put subconsciously in audience's mind, yeah, there's a beach, but there's also rocks, and there is a danger, and there is a thing. So that's why we're looking for a location with a beach, with cliffs that you can fall and hurt. So audience never gonna think that way, but they're gonna feel it. So I'm just saying, when you, as a creator, think where you're shooting, because that means a lot, because this is not a radio show. This is, you have to remember that where you put environment and your actors, it has a lot to do with emotions. So that's one of the reasons we chose that place. And of course, this is not the final, but just for example to you.
Should we move on to Hollywood Nights?
Yeah. So, we want to find, again, Hollywood areas where it's kind of classic Hollywood, so we look for areas, it's only a few shots, that we're gonna give you the feel of the old Hollywood. So this is a couple of shots that we took. So there's a Hollywood, there's a little coffee shop scene, and we found that this would be a kind of modern Hollywood in an old area. So this is with a very, very, again, not just anything, but it has a classical design. The arches, all of this is modern, but also it's classical. So this is what we're looking. Then we went to another coffee shop, and that was at night, but we said, wow, that may be great for the day scene, which you will see later. It was a very interesting place. So we found that scouting at night.
By the way, if you go there, you should go to this cafe. It's called Thunder Road Cafe on Santa Monica Boulevard in West Hollywood. Classic, because next door is a motorcycle shop.
Yeah, motorcycle,
yeah. And they make the best coffee.
Yeah, we've been going since, yeah. So then we're looking. There's a scenes outside of the furniture shop at Nab. So we found a few places that, again, very clean and very kind of modern, striking design, and then we go to the old Hollywood.
That is a corner Hollywood and Vine. You have a Taft building, you have a Broadway building. That's a very classic corner where you can also see the Capitol record. right? There's
yeah.
Yeah. So here's a Capitol record.
And this is, so anyway, so this is just examples. And then we went to do West Hollywood apartment, right? You want to talk about it?
And then just one more note, the Hollywoodizing in the script is just a background when one of the characters are arriving to a nightclub. So this is basically a landscape in the night, how Hollywood looks like. Of course, some iconic, buildings included here. Then we're going to show you
apartments.
Yeah, because there's a central location for one of characters' apartment in West Hollywood. So we look at 3 different locations.
And so like this is, so character that lives in the apartment. So we show you when we're looking. So we want an iconic. And of course we found one iconic we will see momentarily, but it's so upscale to say that's really, the audience is going to say how she can afford living there. And even it was beautiful and, I mean, perfect visually, we say we got to get whatever out of there and find something else. So we, again, with style and design, but that you believe that that person could really not just magically live there. So this is the place, that's the second location that we found that was kind of fitting the, but it's interesting looking and has, it's, foliage, very old Hollywood, but definitely not upscale. And location that was beautiful looking, but probably $10,000 a month apartments is here.
That's upscale. And then Andrzej said, if we put her there, and you need to rewrite your script a little bit. Maybe there's another twist why she can afford that. I'm like, wait a second, maybe not. That's not fitting.
Well, I said, yeah, maybe she has a sugar daddy or something, put in the script. And there was another choice, which is, again, all classical and because it's hard to find places where there's so many new buildings. So, we were looking for a place that you can avoid it, establishing. So this is another, we thought was very kind of good and clean with all design and believable that she could rent this. So that's the process that we're going through.
And of course, this is just a little exploration for us to start to think about, plan ahead, what location could work, and also give us some more space and room to imagine and to build a path forward and bring additional creatives into this process before the actual scouting. And when we look at one of the locations that we mentioned, the cafe, we went back and we think, okay, perhaps we can do an example to do a storyboard during the daytime, because in the script it's written in the cafe, in that environment, it is daytime. So we went back and did rough storyboard so we can share with you. Is in that Thunder Road Cafe. So let's do the storyboard.
Well, this is the script first, right?
Yeah. So I will give you general. Oh, PDF is there. I mean, in the. Maybe you go back to the email. So.
No. Where I have it.
It's the, you have that in the PDF thing. Yeah, so we're gonna do the storyboard specific scenes. Is Megan at the cafe. Megan is one of the characters where, you know, the apartment also where she lives in the story. So here is a scene. I'm gonna quickly read this. It's exterior West Hollywood streets day, the usual Melrose Avenue vibe, slick, chic, buzzing with young, restless energy. Megan, shoulders heavy, walks past a row of trendy storefronts. She slips into a busy coffee shop. Then interior coffee shop day. A coffee cup lands on a table by the window. We move up to reveal Megan taking a seat. Her face say it all, drained, distracted. She takes out her phone and starts scrolling. Her thumb pauses on Kalia's Instagram page. Then the insert of Kalia's Instagram post. Caption, that's later, you know, it's not going to be shown in the storyboard, but then on-screen text, she texts and she hesitates, then taps send. She stares out the window, lost in thoughts. So you can...
So now tell her how short this scene is and what we do.
Yeah, so with that in mind, we want to have the coverage of exterior, walk into the coffee shop, and then end at she lost in her thoughts. So when we actually work through this, we have a different, add more coverage.
Because, you know, I believe that, again, you want to be flowing. You don't want to just cutting to somebody sitting and doing this. So I said, let's flow with the story. And let's find some, so it happens that the window has a very nice graphic. So as you see here, we can start on a graphic. Next thing, you see a reflection walking to the window. And of course, camera will be moving all the time. And as she walks, we reveal where she is. And you know, this is all moving her in one shot to the shop. Again, I keep it flowing, keeping moving, rather than chop, 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 chop. So think about how to design that naturally evolves. So from sign to reflection to seeing the person going in. So again, so now it's a very beautiful store, and so we want to see the store, not just the person, but we want to see environment. So shots are designed, when she walks to the counter, you can feel stuff in the back, not just a close-up. So this is the second shot. And of course, we'll do coverage. The man comes in, but you don't want to spend too much time on it, so he goes make coffee. This is actually coffee cup. It was just croissant, but so then you can cut, save the time, and of course, you want to see environment again. So you see her, you see the place, you see that there's a lot of people work on computers and stuff, so it's kind of students and young people. And she goes, and so it's very interesting. And there's a motorcycle. You see behind, there's a motorcycle shop. And how we get her, again, we go, she takes a little sip of coffee, and then the phone comes in. Very simple shot, but again, you want to see environment, and you don't want to just do 2 cuts. So we cover, again, this is moving shot again. As she's coming, she lost in a thought. And I think that, like I said, let's put to her eyes, and let's up in there. So that would be one continuous move, except the intercut to the phone. So I said, just think about how you can not just plop people in the chair and cut, just think how you can evolve, how you can move. The camera movement, if you watch my movies, the camera moves a lot. And I think that I always feel that keeps your audience. But when a movie is poetic, it's really music, movement, everything will make big difference. So that's the goal. Anyway, so this is just the very beginning what we're doing, but that's what I'm trying to guide the first director in the right direction.
Thank you, Andrzej. Yes, talk about, you mentioned music. And, you know, this film, definitely the music and dance are essential part to tell the story, specifically, of course, flamenco. And that's, I think, I believe, truly believe, music and dance, that fill the space between events, between the life. And that's how we move forward with a bit of more imagination playing our life. And with that in mind, I wanted to make sure how we incorporate those elements is natural in telling the story, align with story, not feeling abrupt. We're not watching music video, we're not watching a dance performance, because those elements are part of the main character's life. So looking forward, as the director, I want to make sure how we can blending all those elements moving forward is essential to tell the story. That also will be driven force to set the tone. And that's part of poetry as well.
As you know, I from being director of photography, I went to directing, and music is really a very strong, and also commercially money, you know, like Romeo Must Die, we made a lot of money. Music made just as much. So we made twice as money as a normally movie would make, or a little more than twice. So, you know, just think about this, because producers will like you when movie make money. So just keep in mind that nothing wrong to be commercial. You have to be as artistic as you can be, but also money talks. And if you want to ask any questions, you know, I mean, but if you see her movies are kind of huge. What you see here is just very little clips, but what she did was her movies. I mean, you should watch maybe some of them, but they are big and beautiful, and maybe she can talk about working in China and working in here. If you have any questions, just go ahead and ask me or Lianne.
You talk about, so a lot of Shanghai, the movie had two parts, one and sequel, and shot by Andrzej Sakula. We did most productions, all the shooting actually all took place in China, and directed my oldest brother, Lianne Hu. We did post in different parts of the world, but shooting itself was in China, and very blessed to work with Andrzej Sakula, and then he was such a trooper working in China with us. The film shot and finished on time, on schedule. Even we experienced great deal of difficulties. And
lack of preparation.
Now I look back, yes. At that time, we're just in the midst of trying to make the production, you know, through. But you look back, definitely, we should give ourselves more time to pre-production, if you have, you know, fortunate enough for time. But again, that is a huge scale of production. It is action, period drama, gangster drama, took place back in early 1900s for a span of 20 years. Hundreds actresses and cars and just huge production, yeah, epic. So again, you know, every production has its own uniqueness, and Red Cactus is a very content story. It's a contemporary story. We talk about 3 characters. Yes, we have day players. We have a coffee shop, you know, clerk. We have police, you know, in one scene, car chase a little bit, and boxing ring. But those are still in a, you know, considered big scale film. Red Cactus is very contained. It's a drama. It's contemporary, and but there is challenges. It's not comparable, actually, in a way. The production scale, large and small, how many crews, how many actors, is actually in a different light. It's a different kind of challenges. And what I envision for the next phase of time, certainly we will bring other key creatives into this process to start early collaboration, including production designer, the editors, of course, casting directors, all that need to be planned ahead. Of course, me as producer, creative producers for the projects in the past, it gave me that understanding what takes from A to Z. And that can be good, at the same time can be bad. As a director, you know, you wear different hats and your agenda, your motivation could be a little different. So for me, I do need to seek out the balance, being a producer or being a director. But early, coming back to the subject matter today, early stage involvement with your key creatives is essential. It is a time you start create a roadmap and really understand the DNA of the film in order to create a blueprint.
Yeah, and the teamwork is pretty, there's no, when I hear a director says my film, I laugh. It's you plus 300 people or more. It really is a teamwork, and as my DP, I kept my crew as a family. I stopped working them when they got hurt and couldn't work or die. Basically, I kept, because they know what you need, they have your back, they loyal, and makes it smooth. You know, all I have to do is look, and they're already running because know what I'm looking at and know why I'm looking at it. So keeping, to me, same people that you work with is essential, but also in early stages, I listen to everybody because there is no such a thing as a bad suggestion. You may leave it off, but you have to listen because there's a lot of suggestions I heard. I said, oh my God, great idea. So keep your ears open and be open to everybody and don't dismiss, because that's a really way to be successful when you can listen.
Yeah, and then, you know, it's constant evolvement and discovery. This phase is really discovery phase, exploration, and then molding each other as collaborators. And the sparks really come from dive down, dive deep, and continue discover and evolve. Yeah. Yeah, so any questions you have? Yes.
Do you have a mic so everybody can hear?
Thank you. Hello, and thank you for the talk. That was interesting. As you were talking about pre-production, is the time when you have just mostly director, writer, with the huge passion for own idea, and you're trying to gather this key team, and I was wondering how would you bring those people in the team when it's such an early stage where you cannot really promise any money or that this project is going to happen. You just started putting this together, and how would you find somebody who's ready to actually go through talking and brainstorming your idea and making sure that's actually going to happen, you know?
You know, first, you and director talk, right? I mean, that's the very beginning, the director and director of photography. But also very soon you need a production designer. So, because that's very important. So I said, of course, over the years I developed relationships, so I have no problem asking and calling. But I think you have to find people who are good, who want to succeed, who want to make, and we have a good material, everybody wants to work on good material. If the script is shit, nobody's going to be, when they read and it's great, everybody want to be part of it. So that's part of the process, you know. So I said it's growth. The more you get advanced, the more people will come in. But, you know, the beginning process, I would go with Sydney and Tony Walton. We would go for 6 months, just 3 of us. Sometimes every day, sometimes twice a week, depends. But it was just, and we talk and evolve and say, no, there was great location, but you know, there's something, you know, we look, and you know, you also have a plan. You have to plan how you want to visually. So one of the Sydney told me, Prince of the City, said, Booby, he called me Booby. Booby said, you know, I want to feel like the world is closing on Treat. I don't know if you guys see the movie, if you watch it, but I want to feel like he has no escape. And he says, you know, Sydney said, maybe, how can we shoot it? You know, maybe I don't want to see sky. So I said, you know, how about if we shoot all the master shots, you know, New York City? I said, we shoot on the way back 75 or 100. And we go in on the close-up, widen, you know. So you see everything around without sky. So if you look at a movie, you don't see sky, because every master shot was shot with the 75. So you make a plan, okay? Planning is everything. So when you plan it, then you find location. Okay, this location is too much sky, so we have to change it. Of course, occasionally you'll get it, but just think in that way. So you have a plan, visual, how, and usually it's emotional. You know, they say, like Sidney said, the world is closing on him. I don't want to see sky, so I said, having a ski. Okay, how about we do 100 and 200 feet away, and it worked. So if you look at a movie, think about that way.
So you just suggest kind of sell the idea, to have really good idea, so people will be interested to join you in these conversations, right? And
oh, and of course, you know, every director has an idea. Like, you know, Sydney, when we did Verdict, said, I want to look like Caravaggio. So the more painters you know, the more art you know. As I say, study art, study old films, because there is no, you know, like I don't know if you see the movie Falling Down. You know, I am all fan of Fellini, of movies, and when I read the script, you know, I just felt it. Oh God, 8.5 came to my mind. You know, it's not like, and the opening shot I just was totally different, but was inspired by 8.5, and I came for the interview with Schumacher. First time I met him, we went to a little restaurant on the Robertson, and just to meet. And I told him how I do the first shot. He said, you got a job. I mean, it happens like this. So you got to think, you know, I'm saying, so just see as much as you can, and there's nothing wrong being influenced by great artists.
Thank you.
You have a question.
Yeah. Well, thank you for the talk. Gracias from Spain. Xishe.
Xishe.
So I really admire that you can have like the ability to act as in several capacities, and as a person that of course I work in Spain, but anyway, what I mean is like, how do you do to keep it all separate? How do you do to you know, like you say, like, okay, I'm a producer, now I'm a director, now I'm an actress, now I'm a producer again, and you don't go like crazy, you know?
If I understand your question precisely, is how someone can switch different hats to be useful and contributing to a project.
Yes.
Okay. I think, in the end, whether you work in front of camera or behind camera, it is still, in the end, is storytelling, use different tools and to contribute in a different way. I think just myself, I started as a child actor on stage. Then I act in film and television, and then transition myself as a producer. And then because I have this desire to tell story with my own understanding of life, I start writing. Then for this project, when I first started writing, I was not in plan to direct myself. And then to a point, I realized if I really want to tell the story in my own light, I probably should consider myself being a director. But I think all this experience, it's all useful. Bring you to whatever you're gonna be take on the role in a project. It's all speaks itself. So I know if I direct an actor in Red Cactus, I may channel my own acting experience, my tools, work with actor in an actor's language because I know, I understand how they feel. Not just the craft itself, also personal struggle. How we actually prepare a role, right? There is a path. Every actor has its own unique way. But I will be very open to understand their method, their way. And then, of course, being a director, this is my first project. Even though I work with director, I raised by director, my brother's a director, which is such a blessing, I think once now I'm in the sea myself, certainly it shines different light. I have to think differently because being a producer, certainly it's not that creative force. I mean, we nurture project, we help develop a project, we'll work with director. I get all the key, creatives together, work with director to reflect his vision. But now I'm in the creative seat. I certainly see things differently. But with all the experience I had, I think it's only plus, only helpful because I understand what that takes. And then I think I can be more empathetic about what requires as working with a producer or working with an actor or work with DP. And so I think it's only helping. It's not in any way, in my mind, contradict itself. It's not really switch ahead right away, like, okay, now I'm completely out of that role. I think it's all kind of flow together. And then you will understand the process in a whole different light when you actually touch upon different parts of contribution you could give. And to work with different members of production.
Last question, you are so close to the project. Is this like, it has some part of truth biography of yours, this project?
The story? Well, I wouldn't say it's writing something autobiographically, but I think every writer, they channel their own experience a little bit, in a different, whether it's on the surface level or in the depths inside of you of core. I certainly, bring in my own experience into the script, but it is not autographic, but the essence of connecting, find true love, and believing, endearing love actually does not require you have to be with someone near and close. The space in between, you will feel still, whether that person next to you or not. That space sometimes is irrelevant. And I think that also comes down to understanding of time. Do we live within the time, or do we live traveling with time together? And that also creates a bit of metaphor in the script itself. So I think creative process writer is you at the point writing something definitely reflect your beliefs in life, not necessary to write your own experience in life.
Thank you. Gracias.
Any other questions? Yes.
Hello. Thank you very much for the talk.
Thank you.
I want to ask you to maybe talk a little bit more about the balance that you find when stepping out of your own role. Like as a director, how much do you become a DP, and as a DP, how much do you try to become a director? Like how do you find that balance to step out of your own role?
I work with great DPs in the past. I'm not a DP, but working with Andrzej, because he is also a director. So that's such an advantage. And me, as a first-time director, although I work with different directors, I think definitely in the essence of collaboration is so helpful.
Definitely helps that I have two hats. So, because you live into different experiences dealing, but not only just, how you deal with the studio, how you did this, so I kind of explaining her a lot of stuff that I lived through, and if I knew, it would have been easier, but I didn't. I learned it hard way. But anyway, so I can give advice, and but I think that, what I love, it's her passion, and I'm here to help in any way.
And to work, come back to work with DP. When I was a producer on the project, working with the DP, certainly it is a different. Now, as a director to work with DP, because now I'm embedded myself so much with the creative process, not just on, 3 steps above and trying to make sure everybody onto falling into the budget and the schedule and make everyone working toward the same goal as from the producer standpoint. So certainly this process is extremely involving deep down into understand the project into a creative aspect, not just managerial, thinking about space logistics, scheduling, and all that, bring all the members together. And all I can say is in the last few months, I have learned a lot. I embraced this process so dearly and completely. And I very much so grateful and cherish this because like what I mentioned earlier, it's really not just molding and understanding the DNA of the project itself, the script, how translate the pages to screen, but also essentially the more we work together, the more specific we're going to, it is also molding as a creators, your DNA, you understanding how you see things, and then also to discover the differences. We're not always agree all the time. There is disagreement. There is heated discussion. There is, because we have a different background, it cannot be any more different. I mean, of course, I love polished food and polished music and all that stuff, and you like Chinese things. But still, and are such a vast difference. But I see that actually is such a wonderful advantage because in the core of the matter, we realize more and more how we are sharing so much in common in understanding human spirit, how much understanding what we appreciate art, and how much our work ethics aligned. And those are not imagination, it's really coming and driven by the day-to-day communication, specific things work together. You realize this is part of molding as a creator, because if we are going to really make this project to realize eventually on the screen, we will have many months to come. So it's essential. It really to have this time give ourselves, which is such a bless, such fortunate situation right now. Yeah.
Hello. I'm here.
Oh, here. Hi.
The top. Thank you, first of all. And I have a small question to Andrzej. You said earlier today that there are different approaches for different directors, and that there are rehearsals with actors, for example, 3 rehearsals a day for 3 weeks. And at this point, I have a question. Where is you as a DP at this time? Are you with them, training some maybe movements or something else, or how it works?
Well, you know, it was a very interesting process, and I say I learned a lot. And the rehearsal really, you know, every movie with Sydney, we came at least 2 weeks under the schedule. And one of the reasons is because we were so prepped. So clearly, Sydney was getting movies because he was director that not only made a great movies, but he was we always under schedule, at least, I mean, minimum 1 week, 2 weeks. And, but actors were very comfortable. But, you know, Sydney was very demanding. And like, for example, you know, we did Prince of the City, which was 180 some pages, and Verdict was like something 120 pages. And on the second day, Paul Newman in rehearsals came with a script, reading. And Sydney said, Polly said, you know, Prince of the City was 186 pages, and Treat knew every line on the day 1. Silence, because everybody's there. Next day, Paul Newman came without a script, knew every line. So, you know, Sydney was very firm, but also very fair. But I learned so much that it's important that, well, as a DP, you know, I'm just working with different directors and try to also share what I know between. So I would say that we did this, and I say every director I work with, you know, they're always very open, and I was lucky. I mean, I must say, I never had a bad experience. And you know, of course, one of the only reason I started directing is because one day Joe Silver goes to me, Andrzej, you gotta direct this movie. I wasn't trying to direct, but I said, okay. So there was a Romeo Must Die. You know, that's how it happened. It was Joe. So, but I enjoyed the process, and of course you learn, and the more the more things you do, the more you learn. And I say, but working, you know, I did, I don't know, nearly 60 films. So, you know, you accumulate that knowledge, and of course, I love to share it. So I love to share with young people, you know, I'm always invited to schools and this, you know, and that's my job, to me, to share. That's whatever you guys, if you ever want to later come ask questions, I'm always open to helping the youth and people that want to learn.
Hello. My question, sorry for English, my English. So thank you for all the knowledge. And my question is, do you remember situations that there was a good script, director has his vision, he has agreement with actors and all the stuff, and suddenly producer said, no, it's bad ending. It won't give us as much money as we could. Let's change it. So there was a whole crew was about to make something else, but producer said, no, sorry. I think it would be better for audience would buy better this one. And I have my own idea, and you should do it that way or highway. I don't know. You know. Do you remember such a situation?
Yeah, no, that's non-stop. You know, it's always happens. You know, every producer will want you to do as efficiently as possible, but you know, sometimes you can, and sometimes you can't. And when there was, you know, then you say you need a rewrite. You cannot ask for this and not have the money. You know, how are you gonna jump the motorcycle across the river when you don't have the money to fly on the wires, right? So do a VFX, you know. Of course, these days you have, you know, AI and all of this helps. But reality is, you know, I went a lot of times through this, and but they always knew that I never asked for no reason. So, you know, I must say I was pretty lucky. But but you will face it every day. I think it's now more than ever. And but you know that's why there is you have you know now LED screens, you have AI, you have you know, so there was stuff that you can do without doing physically. So before everything I did in my films is real. You know, when you see the bus jumping in speed, that's for real. So you know, today I don't think you could do that. And also, I don't think that OSHA would let you put Keanu under the bus on the mechanics dolly on the wire. So, you know, so there's a lot of stuff that you couldn't do today. Okay, but you know, like I said, shooting guns is another thing. You know, we always shot with blanks, but because of the accident on the Rust, it's became the problem. So, just gotta figure out one by one.
Okay, thank you very much.
Any other questions?
Drinking time.
I have a real short question. I wanted to ask you here. I'm here. I want to ask you, Andrzej, if you are the one to prepare the shot list, or is it the director? Because I feel like it's if you are the one to prepare the shot list, or it's a director or directress. Because I feel like it's different in different countries also. Or are you the one to prepare the shot list, or it's a director?
Do I like both? I like, you know, I mean, to me, it's a filmmaking. You know, so I love making films. So I like, you know, whatever. And I always say, you know, I'm always part this and part that. And I think just because I have a lot of experience, I can help. I call it adult supervision, but you know, people always ask me, and I said, you know, but you know, to me, as long as you're making good work and good job, I'm happy because I love making films. That's all I ever did, nothing else.
Any?
Hi.
Yeah.
Hi. Thank you for this talk and this conversation. My question is, how you're usually looking for references? Could you describe the process and who involved in this process? And do you usually use references mostly from the movie, or like any people, any piece of art works for you in this process?
I don't understand.
Can you repeat again? I try to understand your question.
I ask you to describe the process, how you're looking for references and who involved in this process, like...
About the creative key members of the team, how we bring in them. Is that what you ask?
Yeah, like references for like visual reference, like picture, movies, how you work on it.
Like to me, I get influenced, but you know, I said I watch it over. You know, since I watch movies, and I said it's not copying the movie, but you get like I said, the shot. If you watch, did you see Falling Down? Did you see 8.5?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, watch it. You will understand. It's not the same shot. but was influenced by 8.5, by Fellini, you know. So I'm just saying is, I get influenced by paintings. I get influenced by, there's nothing wrong with influence, because the more you know, let's say, you know, my son went to follow my footsteps. I said, go to movies. He lives in Criterion Channel, watching all the classic movies, basically. I send him to every museum, to every, that's the essence. That's how you get influenced. The art, it's been thousands of years. So the more you see and different, you read the script, it's, oh my God. I feel it, you know, because you can, when you see that, I visualize it. When I'm reading, I say, oh my, so I get influenced by a lot of things. But, you know, I didn't invent it myself. It got invented over a long time.
Okay, thank you.
Hi. So I have a question for Andrzej, and this is, I'm here. How do you approach this transition from being a cinematographer to being a director and collaborating with your director of photography, particularly on Romeo Must Die, for instance?
You know, I love, I work all my, you know, director photographers I work, I say, I don't tell them what to do. I tell them how do I want to see it. And of course I had some stuff that, you know, that I knew that they didn't know, and I would help. You know, there's, I mean, you know, with Sidney Lumet, I had to light that I had 5 minutes to turn around. I have to pre-lit everything, and really, within 5 minutes, he expected to do 180. So from that, I end up using multiple cameras, because if you can light, every direction looks good. So I was doing Doom, and Tony Pierce says, I cannot use more than one camera. I said, well, we'll figure that out. Anyway, we started lighting the sets, and I kind of explaining him what he can do to help it. And the next thing, he loved doing that. So I think that's, I mean, that's a joy to working with, you know, we always, it's never a problem. It's always, there's always new learning, you know, we both learn. So I think that's not an issue, and I think it's actually great.
Any other questions?
Drinking time.
One person has a question. She has a question. Not drinking time yet.
Oh. Sorry. I'm in Poland.
Please.
First of all, thank you for this inspiring lecture. And I have a question for both of you, actually. In your opinion, what makes a screenplay bad or low qualified? Thank you.
What makes a screenplay bad?
Yes.
So, in contrary, what makes screenplay good, right? I mean, we come back, I answer first. We come back, always look at, you know, as the writer, myself, my process always come back to what story do you want to tell in terms the core message, right? That is the content itself. Then how you construct in a way to tell it in the best reflective light. So we can come down to all the techniques. What's the B sheet? What is your structure? Who are they, right? Do you have surprises? When the story turns, you don't want to write the first 10 pages, people already know what's gonna happen, the page 90. You don't. You wanna have that organic deploy into a place, you have a surprise. I want a surprise. You have all your anticipation, but calm down. You need a surprise. And then you go to your third act, how you close the story. There are times we watch a movie, the ending just short. and you don't have the punch in the end. You want that. You also want to give your audience a satisfaction in the end. I'm not, as a director, I also don't want to feed my audience how they need to feel, or you anticipate that as a director. I mean, now I'm a director. And as same as writing, you don't want to feed and instruct your audience. At the same time, when you put all that together, you do want to look at end to end. It's like a book. You have prelude and chapters and climax in the end. So all those, actually, all the elements, we have to have us to feel, in the end, to feel the character, emotional engagement. And if you can resonate with audience in that light, engage them to feel the character, I think that will be a successful storytelling. Versus we always just look at beautiful picture, you know, their distance. You never feel dive in. I love to have my film in the end. You feel them. You feel you're part of this. And also evolvement, a development, and also character from page 1 to page 90, there's transformation. If there's no character transformation, I don't think you look back, it's worse of, you know, hour and a half sitting in a cinema. You wanted to feel that growth.
Yeah, it's arcing the character, but also truthful. You know, if you have to really feel the truth, because a lot of stuff, you know, the stories are one thing, and what actors are doing is another thing, and you feel that it's not true. You want to feel the truth. You want to feel that it's authentic, it's real. That's very important. So it's truthful to itself. You have to be truthful to when you write it. That is not manipulation. That's just the truth.
Absolutely, I so agree. Truth always prevail. Yes.
Drinking.
Thank you. Jinkuya Bangzu, correct? Jinkuya Bangzu.
Yeah.